The final bell had rung 20 minutes ago, but Eddie and Sarah were long gone from campus. They sat on the hood of her old blue Chevy Citation, parked at a quiet bluff overlooking the Pacific. Waves crashed far below them. The rest of the world felt distant. Sarah hadn't taken her eyes off him. "Okay," she said, turning fully toward him. "No more dodging. What the hell happened on the football field? You just appeared out of thin air with lightning. No storm. Nothing." Eddie rubbed his hands over his face, buying time. His heart hammered in his chest. This was it. The moment he had to decide how much truth to drop on her. He exhaled slowly. "I'm not from here, Sarah." She tilted her head, a small smile forming. "Like, not from California? Did your family just move here or something?" Eddie shook his head. "No. I mean, I'm not from this time." Sarah blinked, then let out a soft laugh. "Wait, are you saying you're like from the future? Like some sci-fi movie?" Eddie hesitated, then nodded once. Sarah's eyes widened with playful disbelief. "Oh my God, you're serious right now?" She nudged his shoulder. "Okay, time traveler, what year are you from? 1999? 2015? Are you here to stop the Russians or something?" Eddie smiled despite himself, but the weight in his chest didn't ease. "Further than that." Sarah raised an eyebrow, clearly enjoying this. "Further? Like 2050? Are we all flying cars by then?" Eddie looked out at the ocean for a long moment before turning back to her. His voice dropped, quieter and more serious. 2026. Sarah paused, studying his face. The playful glint in her eyes faltered just a little. 2026, she repeated slowly. "So, 44 years from now?" Eddie nodded. She searched his expression, waiting for the punchline. When it didn't come, her smile faded into something closer to awe, and maybe a little fear. "You're not joking," she whispered. Eddie shook his head. "No, Sarah, I'm not joking." Sarah stared at him for a long moment, the ocean wind whipping between them. The playful sparkle in her eyes slowly faded into something sharper. "Prove it." Eddie looked surprised. "What?" "Prove you're from the future. Tell me something nobody in 1982 could know." She thought for a second, then a mischievous grin appeared. "Hockey. Who wins the Stanley Cup this year? And the next 10 years? Go." Eddie let out a nervous laugh and rubbed the back of his neck. "Sarah, I'm really not a sports guy. I barely know who's playing right now." Sarah gave him a gentle shove on the shoulder, laughing. "You mean to tell me you traveled back in time and you didn't bring any championship scores? What kind of time traveler are you?" Eddie smiled, but his expression quickly grew serious. "Harlan was dying, Sarah. I barely had time to say goodbye. There wasn't exactly a briefing packet." The words hit her harder than he expected. Sarah's smile vanished. She looked away toward the ocean, her jaw tightening. For several seconds, she said nothing. When she finally spoke, her voice was quieter. "My dad died in a car accident at the end of my sophomore year. I was supposed to see him that night, but I stayed late at cheer practice. I never got to say goodbye." The air between them grew heavy. Eddie's face softened with understanding. "I'm sorry," he whispered. Sarah shrugged slightly, but her eyes were glassy. "It's been almost 2 years. Most people don't know how to talk about it. They just avoid it." She let out a shaky breath. "But you just said it. I barely had time to say goodbye. Like you actually get it." They sat in silence. The only sound was the distant crash of waves. Then Sarah slowly leaned her head against Eddie's shoulder. He froze for a moment, then carefully put his arm around her. She didn't pull away. In that quiet moment on the bluff, something shifted between them. Not just attraction, Something deeper. A real connection. After a long stretch of silence, Sarah lifted her head and looked up at him, her eyes searching his. "You better not be pulling my leg, Eddie Stackhouse," she said softly, "or I swear I'll..." She trailed off, biting her lip. Eddie looked down at her tenderly. "Or you'll what?" Sarah's mischievous smile slowly returned. She nudged him again. "You'll find out, future boy." They both started laughing, quiet at first, then louder. The kind of laugh that releases built-up tension. For the first time since arriving, Eddie felt something close to relief. Sarah wiped her eyes, still smiling. "We are so getting detention for cutting the rest of the day." "Worth it," Eddie said, looking at her. She held his gaze for a long second, then leaned her head back on his shoulder. "Yeah," she whispered. "It is."
Eddie walked slowly to the edge of the bluff. The sun was beginning to dip lower, painting the ocean in deep golds and oranges. He stared out at the horizon, the weight of everything finally settling on him. What the hell am I actually doing here? Sarah watched him for a moment, then quietly followed. Without saying a word, she slipped her hand into his. Eddie looked down at their intertwined fingers, surprised at how natural it felt, and how fast this was all moving. He wanted to ask her right then, "Are we a thing now?" But the words got stuck in his throat. Sarah noticed his guitar in the backseat of her car. "Are you any good at that thing?" Eddie let out a soft laugh. "Well, I've been playing it for close to 50 years now, so..." He stopped mid-sentence as the reality of his new timeline hit him. "Actually, in this life, I kinda suck right now. My best friend Rez kicked me out of our band right before summer. Said I wasn't good enough. And he was right." Eddie wasn't quite sure how he'd explain his newfound guitar skills. There were a lot of things he'd be trying to explain in the coming days. He had no idea. The floodgates opened. Eddie started pouring everything out. The divorce that was coming, moving into a tiny apartment with his mom and younger sister, the loneliness that had defined so much of his original senior year. Sarah just listened, never letting go of his hand, her thumb gently brushing over his knuckles. When he finally ran out of words, they stood in silence. Sarah turned to face him fully. She stared into his eyes for a long, searching moment, then reached up, gently pulled his face down to hers, and kissed him. It wasn't quick. It was soft, warm, and lingered. When they finally parted, Eddie was breathless. A shy, hopeful smile crossed his face. "So, does this mean we're a couple now?" Sarah's eyes suddenly went wide. She pulled back, covering her mouth. "Oh my God, I'm dating Bo Lawrence!" Eddie blinked. "The star quarterback Bo Lawrence? That Bo Lawrence?" Sarah nodded, looking just as shocked as he was. Eddie's face filled with panic. "Then why did you just kiss me?" Sarah's expression softened almost immediately. She stepped closer again, looking up at him with complete sincerity. "Because I really like you, Eddie Stackhouse."